So it's that time of the year, it's holiday season. You've got those things that you're going to parties, maybe a birthday, New Year's, family gathering that you may or may not be excited to go to, another family gathering. Sometimes you just don't have time to do a whole lot for makeup. And that's why I want to create this look today. It is meant to be very simple, very easy. It looks good on everybody, in my opinion. I've done this kind of look on mature clients. I've done this on younger skin, my skin, or it doesn't matter, everybody. It is a simple but effective look that makes you just feel put together without feeling super done up. It's gonna be pretty approachable, that's my goal at least. And you can really do this with any shade colors. I'm gonna stick to a certain palette today, but say you wanted to make it more rosy gold or more golden, oranges, whatever, reds, whatever you wanna do, even greens, you can do this. It's the same steps, it's just different colors. I think that's enough gabbing. Let's just get into it. So makeup, of course, is very personal, and I feel that whenever you're doing makeup, I always say just focus on one thing. What I found that when a lot of people feel like they don't feel like themselves or they feel like their makeup is too much for an occasion, it's usually because they're not focusing on one feature. That's really the trick with any makeup look you're doing, is you can just kind of pick what you want to focus more on. Depending on your eye, you can use a concealer or a primer to do the job, to prep it. For me, I typically use a concealer just because I've been doing it for years and I haven't had a problem with my eyeshadow not staying. But if you're someone who worries about the longevity of your eyeshadow, say you're doing this really early in the morning and you need it to last all day, you can definitely use a primer, or you can layer your eyeshadow. And what I mean by layering your eyeshadows is using like cream eyeshadows or like a cream concealer and then putting eyeshadow on top of it, creating that like extra insurance of it staying, if that makes sense. For eye prepping, you can do a concealer that matches the color of your skin, or you can go a shade lighter. So the reason why you might want to do a shade lighter is especially if you really like that lighter brow bone kind of area. I just do a very thin layer. A lot of people, I feel like, don't enjoy using a concealer as their eye base because they're using too much product. And let me tell you, less is more. You can always build, but it's really difficult to take away. You can also use a concealer that is on the matte side, so it's kind of almost self-setting if you want, or you can use something that is not and then powder it. I'll go over my eyelid with like a sponge to kind of just soak up any extra product, and this just helps kind of prevent creasing. Okay, so those are primed. For this eyeshadow look, we're basically going to use a total of 4 eyeshadows. So one's going to be a shimmer, I'm going to have a transition shade, and then we're going to have about an outer edge shade, and then the deepest shade for another step. I feel like 4 is a really good sweet spot for any kind of eyeshadow look, because with that you will have the ability to kind of create the amount of any kind of depth you want. The transition shade can be anything from your bronzer to just a lighter shade that's a little bit darker than your natural skin tone. So for everybody it's different, obviously based off your skin tone, but that's why I say use your bronzer, because that's always a really good like go-to safe option. I'm just gonna go in with a shade that looks like this. You can see it's definitely a few shades darker than me, but that's because I am kind of heavy with the swatch right now. But with my fluffy shader brush, that's going to diffuse this and make this a lot lighter. You'll always start on the outer side of your eye. And the reason why I start on the outer part of my lid especially is because usually when it comes to any kind of makeup look, it's always going to be like lightest to darkest. And I find that that's usually the most flattering way to apply eyeshadow on just about everybody's eye shape. Now there are some outliers, but I can definitely show you guys a video of me doing someone else's eye if you would like. So I'm just doing little circle motions, and the direction that you blend the eyeshadow is the direction it's gonna go. So I personally like my eyeshadow to kind of have a pull this way, but I like to start here too because the majority of the product is on your brush at the very beginning. So why would I want it in here where then it might cause a harsh line and then my makeup just looks unblended. You can see that shade is just very soft. It's not too much, but as I'm blending it, the more and more soft it's gonna get. And my thing too is with this look, you could probably stop at any time and it look good. Now, granted, not like right now, more like when you do the same step on the other eye, you should be able to basically leave this eyeshadow look if you were in a rush and it be looking good. So I'm just gonna keep slowly building this up. Now for my eye shape, I obviously have a very evident crease. So I can bring this all the way in if I want to enhance the crease, like make it more prominent. As you can see, just looking at me, this side doesn't look as evident. It looks a little flatter. This side doesn't. I can do a video more in depth about like how to find the right sized blending brush for you, because that also will make a big difference in your eyeshadow. Like you could have the crappiest eyeshadow, but honestly, if you have the techniques for the most part, and if you have a good brush, you can make it work. So that's kind of a nice little veil. Now I can go back in with the same brush and focus this on my outer lid. So I'm just really gonna pat it in and then just do little circles, not like blending it out, just like more controlled circles, focusing literally on my eyelid. Like I am not touching my crease. I am focused all up on that eyelid and my lash line. Like if you feel it get in your lashes, that is normal. Now if you have lash extensions, obviously be a little careful. I would probably switch to a smaller brush so you got a little more control and it's not gonna mess with your expensive lashes. I am going to take a smaller blending brush because I do want to have some more control. Or honestly, you can even use a flat shader brush if you have like a fluffy, not a flat one, okay? Like a fluffy flat. So this guy. Now, I can use something this fluffy because of my eye shape. If you have smaller eyes or smaller lid space, then I would say you can use something like this, but a little bit thinner. But like, for example, this one right here, there's some that are a little bit more, like it's less fluffy in comparison. It's also like a little thinner. She's like a little skinnier than this one. Or what I'll do is I'll take a small blending brush like this, and this will do just a beautiful job as well. Just to kind of show you a comparison of the blending brush that I just used to the small one. You can see them beside each other. This one is a lot less fluffy. It's more precise. You'll see. By the way, you like my nails? I got them done. They're little gingerbread. I like it. Anyway, use what you have. If you have something close, then just do that. Because I really want you to do this look with whatever you have. So I'm going to go in with a deeper brown. So something can be either a chocolate brown or it could be a bit more of a neutral brown. Like, I don't want to say mocha. What's a good brown? I don't know. Think of like a dirt brown. Just dirt. Not clay dirt, just like that typical dirt. It's a low gray, it's not that warm, a little dirt brown. I'm gonna tap it onto the top of my brush. And the reason why I do that is because for this, I'm gonna focus it actually on my outer third of my lash. And with this little bit, just you tap it off, you can pack it where you want it. Then I'll take that brush and I'm gonna put it basically perpendicular to my eyelid, and I kind of will angle it just a little because I'm kind of focusing on that wing effect. So I like to kind of just go back and forth with this. And the reason why I started doing this, because, you know, I used to be like, oh, I need a blending brush. I need another blending brush. And sometimes I didn't pack it for like a trip or something. I found Hung Van Gogh does this. And And he does beautiful work, let me tell you. If you haven't watched his stuff, I highly recommend it. But he will use a flat shader brush to blend. And I love that. So I'm literally just going back in with this shade, focusing it a little bit on my lash line, halfway. So another, well, I won't even say halfway, more of a third. And the reason why I do that is because for me, I'm not trying to close off my lid space. Now, if you're into that look, go ahead, go all the way in. If you're not into that look, don't do it. For me, I found that if I look straight in the mirror and I see where the end of my iris is, I will only take that eyeshadow that far. For me, that's basically your outer third. Pretty much the same for everybody. Just taking this. And then I just kind of, again, flip it to the side. I'm using the side now on the brush versus the tip. And then I'm just kind of brushing this out. And the other thing that I like about this is you can just go back in with that blending brush you had originally with no product, and you can just soften the edges. I'm only focusing it on this outer third of my eyelid, and I'm not bringing this into my crease because that's when we start to get muddy, and that's when you'll start feeling like, okay, what happened to the look? It didn't look, she did it this way, I don't understand, you know. This is how we make sure we're not feeling muddy. So you can see how that's kind of looking. You can leave it matte like this, or you can go in with a shimmer. The next step is I'm going to take a flat shader brush or an angled one like this or something, and I'm going to kind of create an eyeliner. Now, if you have eyeliner, you can use it. If you don't, that's okay. You can do this. The reason why I like to use eyeshadow is because it is a softer eyeliner than something like a liquid. And sometimes even pencil eyeliners can be a little too aggressive. Is I'm taking like a darker brown. This was the shade I used on the outer part of my eye, and this is the shade that I'm getting ready to use as the liner. But you can go in with black if you want to. But I would do a little mixy mix of the black with the other eyeshadow, and then build up to black, because black, she's not very forgiving. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just going to focus this on that outer line. You can do that. It just gives a little bit of something, you know, without having to do much. And you can blend this out, because I know that smoky eyeshadow and like smoky wings are very in, and I love them. I really do. But if you want to do something that's not that, because you just don't feel like it, or you feel a little intimidated by it, which is normal, then I would just do this little trick right here. It's really going to pop once you put your mascara on, or falsies, whatever you end up doing. I'm going to add just the teensiest bit of black. So I'm really focusing that on that lash line. And because I want a little shimmer, because it's the holidays and I like to do shimmer. And when I go to do a shimmer too, I like to kind of halfway put it over the eyeshadow that I just did on the outer edge. And the reason why is, I mean, this is pretty well blended already, but it just like, it creates a better transition sometimes. Honestly, once everything is laid down like this, the only thing that I think that really polishes it up is if you kind of go back and forth. What I mean is that like you go back in with maybe your transition shade to kind of blend these two together. Because honestly, when things look really seamless, they look like you put more work into it. So for me, sometimes I get a little heavy-handed and I would just, you know, feel like maybe the shimmer was a little too pigmented and it took over, you know, went a little farther than I wanted. Now I feel like this isn't as, you know, smoky as it was or something like that. That's what I do this step for. So I'm literally just taking that original transition shade and I'm just using it to soften the edge of this shimmer to this dark shade. So it just looks really seamless. And really what's going to tie this together is when we move into the lower eye. What I like to do is I like the eyeshadow to follow my lower lash. So the curve that's going on with my eye, if I imagine a wing coming off from the area of my lower eye and up, this is kind of the direction it would take. So you can use your concealer and pat it. I kind of messed up on this side, I'm not gonna lie. So the reason why I'm saying I messed up is because the majority of the product that's on my concealer brush, I should have used up in other areas first before bringing it over here, because whatever's left on here will help clean up the line and make it look the most soft when you don't have a whole lot of product. Next, I'm gonna go in with my foundation. I'm just gonna go in with some cream products to do kind of my base, but you know, if you have like oily skin or you're not very comfortable with cream products, please by all means go in with your powder products. If you guys want a video on how to use like cream products, like a really good in-depth one, I would love to show you guys, because cream products are my favorite, but I know that they can be pretty intimidating sometimes. Take the fluffy blending brush that we were using, or not the fluffy, the shader brush, and I'm gonna take that transition shade and I'm gonna focus it on the outer third of my eye. So I'm doing that same thing where it's kind of like where the color of my eye starts. And you can bring it down a little bit farther. I found it looks pretty flattering even kind of halfway. But you want to do your transition shade first, because it's just going to kind of give you a foundation of smoke, if that makes sense, because that's basically what we're doing, is we're trying to like create a little bit of smoke. And what I like about this is you can stop here and it ties the eyeshadow look together enough to where you don't feel too heavy on just the top of your eye. If you really want to be precise, you can take your flat shader brush and go in with like your darker brown shade. So I'm gonna do just a little bit in here. And you don't have to do this step. Again, this is all kind of optional. You can always honestly stop whenever you feel like it's enough for you. The mascara, you're gonna see, it just gives like that final little oomph that we're looking for, you know? So build this up to your liking. For me, like I said, I like my eyes to kind of be a little bit of the center of attention here. And I like the way this like extra smokiness looks on my eye. Okay, and so this is basically with just one coat of mascara. And then you can go in with another coat to give yourself a little bit more volume, especially if you're not doing falsies. Then there's the eyes, as you can see. It just does a little pop. It's a little something. I just feel like it does something, you know? And then I'm gonna go in with some blush and bronzer just to kind of, that's a powder, just to kind of finish this off. And I'm gonna set it, and then we're gonna go into lip. For the lip, I'm just going in with like a nude. I'm gonna take a lip gloss that has a little bit of a pinkiness to it and rub that on. Cute. All right, and this is the finished look. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. I promise this is meant to be something that's very, you know, easy to do, very approachable, you know, feel a little bit more like of a zhuzh up of yourself, but, you know, still be able to feel like you're a little dolled up for the holidays. So please let me know what you think of this. I am more than happy to explain anything in the comments down below. If you have any questions, I will try to link some of the products I use, but again, I want this to be a video where you focus on using the products that you have to try to make the look that you want. This is supposed to be more about the steps and the techniques versus the actual colors, but I will link it down below just for you guys as well. And I hope I see you guys in my next video. Bye!